Hello everyone, Brandon here. I'm just going to be talking about a project that I worked on for about a year in my free time. It's kind of loosely connected to that Emergent AI project that I previously made a video on. It's just sort of the game that I proposed that you need to build around an Emergent AI system to kind of really show off how it works. I made this video once. It was over an hour long. That's way too long. I'm pretty sure I can cut that down and try to just keep to the talking points. I probably meandered a little bit too much when discussing some of the systems. So this time I'm going to try to get through it a little bit more efficiently and just kind of show off what this project is. So it's not really in a complete state at all. It was just something I was working on because I wanted to work on it. I made really cool like AI stuff, dynamic AI systems, and I kind of put it down for a couple of reasons. One, I think I was at a point where kind of like I could make content for it. So the AI were developed enough that mainly what I need to do is work out all these other systems to interact with. And it was just like a ton of work. And I kind of just moved on to other things that I was more interested in. I was moving around that time as well. So I came back to this project, looked through it, and found that it actually had like a lot of really interesting stuff in it. And it was actually really well developed, like way more developed than I remembered it being. So what I was thinking of when I made this project is that I want a game that lets players create content. I want game systems that are endlessly extendable, where I can add nuanced functionality and all those little things that I add to the gameplay. So a good example of games like that are things like Slime Rancher or Minecraft, where like if they release a new mob in Minecraft, like something that you can either cultivate, like catch them and domesticate them and get resources from, that changes a lot about the game. So like it can make it to where you get food a lot earlier and more easily, or you can get wool more easily than with sheep because maybe they are like super easy to corral. And so by adding this new element to the game, it adds like it disrupts the whole system. It gives more things for the players to do, more fun things. Things move quicker. Things are just different. So I wanted a game that was like that. Then I wanted some kind of highly dynamic AI system that I can use in any project. So this is done in a RPG fantasy setting, but you could take the same AI system and you could move it over to a sci-fi setting and it would work just as well. The difference is that in a fantasy setting, things like food and shelter and combat have like these very like huge implications because you're kind of isolated to some degree. You don't have a lot of resources that are just freely available to replace. But in a more modern or futuristic setting, resources are less stringent, and so probably the personality and like communication and socialization elements would be more important in a game that was more modern. But in this, I want like the combat and like the survivability of circumstances, like situations, cities, things like that, to be more important. So the goals of the project are to have emergent gameplay, have freely interacting systems, and simple goals that the player can achieve however they want. So by having these NPCs with these like robust systems, I'm gonna go ahead and just start the sort of NPC simulation and just let that run while I'm talking about some of this stuff. Try to get you guys an overview, like a literal overview of the game at work. All right. So you can kind of see them. These are the NPCs. Yeah, you can see my mouse. So these are the NPCs right over here. These 6. And that's the player right there. And so once their values drop low enough, they'll start making decisions about how they want to manage their like personal homeostasis. So the simple goals would just be things that each of the characters have. So like maybe the shopkeeper is trying to save up money, and so people might owe her money, and so she's going to go and ask you to help collect the debts. And so there you go. You have a goal. You have the player achieving that goal, and each of the quests in the game would be kind of generated from that. And so by having a goal for each of the characters and having personalities for each of the characters, different things would be okay for those kind of goals. So if you meet a shopkeeper and she expresses to you that she doesn't care how you get that money, she needs that money so that she can fix up the bar and actually like pay the people that bring her food, because because people owe her money, she hasn't been able to pay them. So she doesn't care how you do it. You can go over there and beat him, and then until the point where he is his safety value, the NPC's value of safety, it drops to the point where he will do anything you say. Like he'll be like, yes, I have the money. I didn't want to pay it because I needed it for other things, but she doesn't care how you do it. She just wants the money. So violence is totally fine. So like he has a safety value here that you can see. Oop, he's looking around for stuff. The safety value could gate certain kinds of things, or how happy he is, right? Maybe you need to safety doesn't really work on him, so maybe you need to like try to reduce his happiness value. And like these systems right now, like it's laid out right there. Like this dude's curious, he's slowly getting hungry, he's not like he's slowly feeling less safe. Like by doing his job, his safety and his happiness go up. So he's right now he's doing his job. And so like these kind of things are going to be hidden from the player unless they get some kind of magic to reveal them. So you would be able to detect these certain things in certain ways. So magic is a part of the system because I wanted to have magic that was like very powerful and a way for you to interact with these systems directly. And so like you can do like there are items, there are these containers right here like that have food and water in them. So like item management, the way that you manage objects and the way you use objects, the way you like, you can pay people off, that sort of thing is a method you can take. And you can use all these items in the way that they're intended to be used to like interact with the game through combat, through economics, through socialization, and like favors. But magic is kind of a way to circumvent those things. So magic is very powerful in that it is a fast track to a lot of certain kinds of control. So like being able to light a person on fire from a distance is way stronger than a bow and arrow. So a bow and arrow, they kind of achieve the same thing. They do damage at a distance, but like shooting fire out of your hand, it's a morale breaker for the NPCs that you're dealing with. So if they have these safety values that determine their behavior, and shooting a fireball in their presence, if they can see you, it reduces their safety value. The likelihood that they're going to keep fighting is going to go down. And that's kind of where personality kind of comes into this. So these NPCs, they have their own personality traits, which I can show a few of. Sorry that everything's going to be red. It's just maybe I should have turned that off. Let's see, can I turn that off while the game is running? Hey, I can turn that off while the game's running. Okay. So that'll make it a lot easier for you guys to see what I'm showing here. So those are his values. Where is his personality? There we go. So Abe is very honest, empathetic, and responsible, but he's not very hostile. So if you reduced his safety and scared him off with a fireball, this dude would go cower and hide somewhere, like immediately. But someone like Jack, he's hostile, he's responsible, and he's curious. So his curiosity would maybe make the casting a fireball affect his safety less. He's hostile, so he's ready to fight, and he's responsible. So if he is supposed to be a guard, like protecting people, even though he's hostile, and even though he has these like other qualities like low empathy, he's going to be responsible and do his job. So he would probably still continue to fight you pretty easily. So by having these freely interacting systems, it promotes kind of emergent gameplay. It promotes different strategies. And that's kind of what I wanted. I want those simple goals, the freely interacting systems, and emergent gameplay. Like right there, those are all things that contribute to that. And so the concrete like onus of the game is that you're an outsider coming to a new area. And so you interact with everyone who's just living with living their lives. And each character has a goal, and you can help or hinder that goal. So you can pick favorites. You can say, like, I don't really like this person, but I like their enemy, and so I'm going to like help this person do what they want to their enemy. Like whether that's just they want to be more economically successful. So like a shopkeeper versus a bartender, maybe they have a little bit of a rivalry there, and you can like steal some stuff from their shop. Maybe you steal stuff that someone important in town really likes. So like if they really like maybe candy, you steal all the candy. They can't buy candy anymore. That person now has a strained relationship with the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper's making less money. And that kind of just be like a simple way that you can be like, haha, I got you. And then the bartender would maybe just pay you a little bit of gold just for helping them mess with the other person. Or maybe there's a wizard. So this tower off in the distance. It's all very simplistic visuals, but like hopefully like a lot of the behavioral stuff is there. Updating the visuals is relatively small from like a game development standpoint. So if there's a wizard up in that tower and he says, I can teach you some powerful magic, but you need to get one of those people in that town to come over here because I need to use them for some experiments. So he'll say, here's a scroll. It'll let you cast a spell once. What it does is it makes this person follow you for X amount of time. So maybe it makes they just follow you around for a day. And so you go and do that. You cast a scroll on somebody from this town. You have to pick who you want to remove from this town. Like, that person isn't coming back to this town. You're essentially killing them, even though they might not necessarily die. But you're removing them from this town. So it becomes like an ethical question. You can solve this problem any way you want. That's an open goal he's giving you. You can say, maybe Jack. Jack is the person, his job is to take empty crates and put them onto this cart. And the cart can be brought away and come back with food. So maybe you think, all right, Jack's job, he's easily replaceable. He has a high hostility, so he's like, the people in the town probably don't have a high opinion of him if you talk to them. So maybe you pick Jack. Or maybe you see an opportunity to kind of gain a lot of wealth in this town. And so you pick whoever they deem to be their leader. You can say, all right, I'm going to pick him. He's going to follow me over there to that tower, and they're going to take him and experiment on him or whatever the wizard wants to do with him. That's just the way that you want to approach that situation. And so that each of those things have consequences. You achieve your goal. That wizard teaches you some strong magic, and you now have a rapport with that wizard. So maybe in the future you can give him gold, and he'll teach you more magic. So each little thing like that kind of snowballs out. Like the simple goal and just the fact that you can say this NPC follows me, or maybe the person has such a high opinion of you, you just talk him into walking over there. You say like, hey, I talked to the wizard. He wants to like parlay with who is deemed as the leader of this town. That's you. So considering, I've done a couple of quests for you and you like me a lot, maybe you could just walk over there with me, and he might do that too. And now you hold on to the scroll that you can use for whatever nefarious purpose or positive purpose you want in the future. Like, it can be you want to get somebody else brought to the wizard, or it can be like someone's in trouble and they're too scared to leave. Like, their safety value is too high for them to be like, agree to leave with you. So you just cast a spell on them, you have them follow you out, and you save them by using like what was meant to be a negative, or sort of a negative magical thing, which is like kidnapping. But you're just helping them kind of overcome their fear at that point. Or you can manipulate. Let me bring out the spell system right now. I can show it to you. So the effects that are right here are burning, which just does damage. You can make it do damage over time. The spellcasting system is pretty robust. You can change like things like the power, cast time, the range. You can make it a status effect, which makes it happen over time. So if you want to it lights them on fire and it burns them over time, rather than just doing a one-time damage. You can make them projectiles. You can make them hit instantly. You can make them affect you. Make it a cone, or make it a rune. So a rune would let you mark this spell on something. Here, I'll click on it, and it'll give you these other options about what activates this rune. So is it when somebody walks into where this rune is and comes into contact with it? Is it the next time you cast the spell, it activates the rune, so you can kind of make like a detonator sort of thing? Is it when someone picks up an item, when someone uses an item, when somebody drops an item? After a certain amount of time, the rune just activates no matter what? So it's kind of more like a time bomb. Or is it a rune that just permanently alters something? So you have this constant thing. If you have this permanent value checked, then you're essentially enchanting an item. So each of these things makes the cast value go up by like on next cast, on pickup. Let's just say on pickup. So I'm going to say when you pick up an item, we're going to make it fire rune. I'm going to add the burn effect. It's a rune mark. Yep, that's all good. The rune size doesn't matter because we're just going to be marking it on an object. It's not going to be like a trap on the ground. And we'll make it permanent. So I'm going to create that spell. Now I have over here, I have the fire rune. It might be a little hard to see just because it's kind of not at full resolution. So if I equip spells, I have this fire rune. So I think I said that I was setting it to on pickup. So if I cast this spell, all right, I Cast a spell on Wampa. Wampa is a food. So if I pick this up, I should burst into flames. Yep. So you cast a rune on it, and the item stores that rune that you marked on it. And you can see that my HP is pretty low here in the bottom left. Casting a spell cost HP. If you have a scroll, it wouldn't. And also, like, if I cast a rune onto, I have a healing potion right here. So if I cast a rune that does damage to you on the healing potion, then it would kind of nullify, right? Like, I can go heal up and rest, and it'll put my health to full, and then when I drink the healing potion, I'll take a little bit of damage from the fire, and I'll gain health back from the healing potion, and it'll kind of nullify it. Even though it takes your HP, the runes let you kind of build up magical items. So you can put them on potions would be a good way to do it, but if you want to use it in combat, it's going to cost your HP in the moment. You can enchant weapons to do magic, and then that can cost your HP while you're safe, and then you can go heal up, and then in the future you have this like magical item that you can use. So that's kind of how the spell system works. And one of the effects on here, possible effects, is like burning, damage, freezing, makes people get locked into place. Healing, you can apply force to like knock something over. Maybe you're trying to stir up something in town, you can have somebody knock something over that someone else owns, it breaks, that person looks around who's nearby, they see a different person, and they say, hey, you must have broke that, you're the closest thing to it, and it wasn't me. And so you can kind of use these spells to like subvert or do subversive actions to mess with people or to make your goals be easily achievable. You can add hunger and remove thirst. These are remove hunger, remove thirst, add thirst. These are just ways that you can directly manipulate the AI systems, which I don't know if they'll be that way. I mean, I guess they are useful because you can take someone's food and you can cast a rune that says remove or add hunger to it. So every time they eat, they just stay hungry, and you can just make them into this loop where they just keep eating food, and then they keep not gaining. They keep not getting sustenance from that food if you mark this rune on all the food in their house. And that's kind of a way that you can kill somebody, and there would be no evidence. Like, no one would know really what happened. Like, they say he seemed like he starved. So that's kind of the magic system, and it's just another way for you to interact with these open systems that are in the game currently. The AI is at the point where it's more about adding content. So they have these personalities, and they have this sort of state machine that determines what they're doing, and that is based on their personalities, and it's based on their physiology. So if this person, like Jack, is very hostile, he's a good example for a lot of things. So Jack is hostile, so if he's bored, he's going to go hurt somebody, or he's going to go steal from somebody, because he has low empathy, and he has high hostility, so he's more likely to do some thievery than most people are. Because, like, Abe is high on honesty, high on empathy, high on responsibility. That dude's not going to rob anyone. It doesn't matter if he's starving, doesn't matter if he's injured. He's going to appeal to people on a social level more than he would appeal to people on a violence level. And so that determines a lot of the characteristics that change how you view NPCs beyond just like the ascribed personality. So, like, there is a speech system that I'm working on, or I was working on, I should say, that looks like this. Oop. And this is just using Xnode, which is a free node editor for Unity. And I have made it to where I have mixed it with this other thing that someone has made that is basically a runtime C# compiler to make each speech have its own, like, custom functions, custom classes, custom checks, to really make like a more robust conversation system. Like, for instance, if you say "I hate you" to this person, it checks to see. Wait, let's see. Yeah, it checks to see if your relationship with that person is less than 30. So if your relationship is less than 30, then he's going to say goodbye, and then he is going to, after he says goodbye, he's going to move over here and he's going to start combat with the player. So the person who's speaking is going to start the combat with the player if you choose this option. So building out this system needs to be much more robust. So you can make these variables that track throughout it, but it would make a way for you to have, like, rather than writing like 100 different dialogues that are all contextual, it can be based on things that develop naturally over time. So maybe you can always say "I hate you" to this guy, But if you say I hate you and your friends, you may laugh about it. And so by having a more robust like scripting system for this, it allows a lot more customization for how these kind of things work. Like these would be your dialogue options and stuff like that, and then this just sends them through these pathways, like a branching pathway here. So you say I don't know what to do. If the person you're speaking to has a relationship over 70, then they profess their love for you. They say I'm in love with you, and then you can either say I love you too, or you can say yeesh, and then they say goodbye, and then it ends the dialogue. Or if you are not over that relationship threshold, and they just say, I don't know, do whatever you want, man. So that's like where we're at with that. Like, so there's the idea of having a scriptable system is kind of I mentioned this before, that I kind of want something where players can create content. I want something that I can create content, like endless content for as well. So that contributes to that. By having more robust speech options, it's a huge boon to making content for characters, and also to let other people do it. So if somebody knows like scripting, they can make an extension to this game where, you know, they can make their own quests and all that, and it'll interact freely with all these other systems that exist pretty easily. I think I was talking about the AI. That's speech with them will kind of interact with what their goals are. So like you can have speech systems that profess their goals directly, or they can say once you reach this certain relationship threshold, then I'll let you know what my goal is, and then you can either choose to subvert that goal or work with them to achieve that goal. They also have memories. So like this person, whenever they do something, he said, I walked to a social location. They talk to NPC Millie. They walk to endpoint. I don't remember. Oh, okay. They're doing their job. So they went to the start point for their job, and they walked to an endpoint. So like you can see these personal memories they have. And the part where NPCs talking to each other is going to become relevant is because that's what's kind of going to let the quest sort of generate naturally based on events that happen, or events you do, or events other NPCs do. That they have these personal actions, then when they communicate with each other, they find the most interesting of those personal actions and they share them. If Mary sees someone murder someone in her bar, like late one night, there's two people in it and there's her, the person murders them and runs away, then that is going to be a very strong personal memory, and when they talk to someone, that's going to be one of the things they tell them. And so now that idea of what happened is on a different NPC. So if you go to a NPC and you say, hey, what's going on? Is there anything interesting going on around town? They say, yeah, the barkeeper, Mary saw someone get murdered in her bar. So then you now know if I go there, she's going to have information, and I can either, maybe I talk to the leader of the town, and he would pay money for someone to find out who did it, or maybe they think they know who did it, or maybe Mary knows exactly who did it, or maybe the player did it. And the idea that Mary knows that the player did it makes her a witness, and so maybe by finding out that she knows about that and are telling people, maybe she isn't telling who the killer is to people, but she definitely saw it, then you need to go deal with her being a witness, whether that's paying her off or whether that's killing her. Who knows? That's all up to the player. So this memory system is a big way for Emergent systems to kind of generate content for the game. So I think that the NPCs have all died. If I had to guess, I think that's what's gone on. Let's see where they were in their jobs. There's just some kind of error where they do not, they either get stuck in something or they just don't. It could be as simple as that they don't eat fast enough for how I have the hunger balance. This is just where I left it, yeah. So like Millie died in here. Yeah, so Mary died. I think what happened is Mary died and she didn't complete her job. So Mary's job is to come out here, grab these boxes full of food, bring them in here, empty the box, which kind of just flings the food everywhere, and so now there's more food in here for people to come grab. And then she brings the empty box over here. The rest of the town, oh, this person's still kicking. Who's this? It's George. Good for you, George. So George is just going to do his job, but there's nothing there for him to do. And because Mary's dead to not do her job, he can't do the second part of his job, which is take the empty boxes over there. And then Jack puts them on the cart, brings them off. Abe's still chilling as well. Yeah, so right now, there's no way for jobs to be reassigned if someone dies. But in the future, whoever the leader of the town is will just assign people's job based on when people leave their jobs or die, or maybe they're just missing. So like if you need someone to run the bar and the barkeeper dies, then we need to have some way to replace that job. But at the moment, the job is kind of similar to like this. So like he says, I walked to social. That's just because she's following one of her goals, which is probably go chill socially. So the way that you make these kind of goals for them to achieve is just like she targets a social point, which is based on her personal memory of the location that she's at, this town. She walks there and then she relaxes and she gets some happiness back from going to relax socially. So she went through her needs. She saw she had low happiness, and so she picked something that would solve that, which was to go to relax socially. So she went and did that, increased her value, and then moved on to whatever next value she found interesting. And her personality kind of affects what she picks here, as well as like her physiology affects what she picks. So I can add as many of these goals as I want. Then I just implement in the code. I just say, under these circumstances, you're more likely to pick this than this, or under these circumstances, you always pick this. Like a good example of that at work is like when someone takes damage, like an NPC takes damage, they're either going to fight, they're going to flee, they're going to friend, which means like they try to like convince you not to do it. Or what's the other one? I think flop is the other one. But these are all just like things that people do when confronted like with violence, is they either submit, they try to talk to you and like convince you to stop, or they'll fight you, or they'll run away. So those are like the options that people have, and that's dependent on their personality. So someone who's more violent would be more likely to respond with violence, and someone more empathetic would be more likely to try to talk to you. And so just by authoring these things and applying their personality traits to them, it makes it so where each character acts differently. Their job system is kind of just an extension of this. The job is just a complicated series of actions. There's this person's so Mary buys and sells food. So she targets where her job starts. So she goes to where they drop off the crates. She walks to them. She walks to where they drop off the crates. She searches to see if they are. She searches for what her job says she's looking for. So she's looking for decoration and containers. She walks to them. She holds them. She goes back to where she started at, and then she targets where she started at. She walks there. She drops it, and then she moves on to the next part of her job. The next part of her job is to find a container that's near her, walk to it, search to make sure that it's full, and if it's full, then she empties it out, basically. So empty the target inventory, and then pick it up and bring it back where the empty boxes go, so that people can do the other part of their job. And so it's just a complicated sequence of events, just like the same way they meet their needs. So it's just a new need that can kind of be assigned based on what the town needs to get done, or what their like passion is. So if her passion is to own this bar and to save money, then that's going to be her job no matter what, even if like until there's no need for it, I guess she would continue to have that job. So overall, with all of these elements, I was surprised at how well developed this is. It has all the emergent AI elements. They're apparently a little hard to keep alive to some degree, but once someone like Mary, who controls like the food source, dies, because it's such a small town, so they're highly interdependent, and right now there isn't like enough of a safety net to stop them from dying like this. But overall, I was surprised at how well put together everything was. I'm at the point where I just need to add more systems for these AI to interact with, because the AI themselves are really robust at the moment. You can add more tasks as you need. The fact that Jack like picks up the empty boxes and puts them on the cart for them to go get refilled, that's something I added when I was just messing around, like becoming refamiliar with the project after like a year of not working on it. I just went in and I looked at how the job were set up previously, and I just said, all right, I can put these together to where he searches for empty boxes and puts them at that specific location on the cart. And so I added that functionality to be able to set something down at a specific point. And then that was it. I just had a new job for someone to do in the town that helps the ecosystem. So that's really where I'm at now, is I need things like the socialization system, moving stuff around. And I'm still working on Gaslight 1850. Like, that's my primary side project until I finish it, until I release it. But after that, I'm probably going to stream development on this, because it is something that I think is conducive to streaming. It's like a very dynamic system, very easy to add content to. I can, talk to chat and they can just make suggestions and I can implement them. Like, the magic system is very open. I just need to add a new functionality to magic, and you can now suddenly do AoE laughter spells or something like that, and just make everyone in the area laugh a bunch and not do anything for a while and just hang out. Like that sort of stuff, because all the base parts of the NPCs and the systems are there. Adding these other systems are much easier than they used to be, so it's probably something I'll do in my free time after I wrap up Gaslight 1850. This is still a long video. I'm glad I re-recorded it because it was much longer before. Just let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if this was interesting to you. If you're someone that was interested in the Emergent NPCs system, hopefully this talking about some of the concrete stuff was interesting to you for that reason. Maybe you have some questions or maybe some things I didn't think of that might be issues with this system. So feel free to share those, and thanks for watching. Bye.